Hey everyone, Genome here, coming at you with my next Marvel Strike Force How to Fix a Character video. So today's subjects are right before you, but in case you missed them, they're also right here. There's on the shirt here. I'm going to be talking about none other than Antman and Wasp. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks on these guys. Even with these changes, I am suggesting they're still not going to be even remotely approaching the meta. You could actually almost triple their... I think you actually could triple their stats on each character. I mean, just flat. Give Ant-Man 300% more damage on all of his attacks and all that, and give him another 500,000 health. It wouldn't matter. It really wouldn't matter. These guys are just way behind. See, their biggest flaw is that they were basically year one characters. So it's just they're not gonna be meta. So let's just get that out of the way right away. But I have some suggestions here to fix these characters to at least make them somewhat usable and maybe bring a little something more so you can do something else with Pimtech. You know, it'd be really nice if you could actually use them. Even in Dark Dimension, they're not getting used, and that's where they're made to thrive, right? So maybe take some of their Dark Dimension stuff away, and, give them some raid tags or something. I don't know, whatever the case may be. They just need something. I mean, it sucks that you have to actually put resources into these guys at all in order to unlock the legendary, because the team is just so bad, outside of Ghost. But, that's what we're left with. So let's at least give us a team that can function a little better. And who better to start with than maybe its two weakest characters, and that's Ant-Man and Wasp. I actually did a video on these guys yesterday. Both these characters are two of my bigger regrets in the game, gearing them as far as I did, because I did all this well before Jubilee was ever even announced. So I use these guys on an AoE tech team early on, and I ran a lot of them. So I have some kind of, I don't know, probably misplaced affinity for these guys, but I don't use them for anything anymore, and I don't. The occasional war attack on a big punch down or something, right? But so let's get down to it. Okay, I'll go ahead and start with Ant-Man, even though I wanted to start with Wasp. But some of the changes I made actually correlate more with having Wasp or Ant-Man go first. But anyway, let's go talk about Ant-Man first. Okay, so the character himself is a controller, tech, global, whatever. Who cares about the tags? Doesn't matter. He's a controller, but he's not good to control right now. The prime reason being that he's just too squishy, and he's so slow, so it's very difficult to even get an attack off of him a lot of times in today's meta. But here are some changes I would make in a semi-vacuum. Well, he won't keep up with the other speed demons out there. You definitely could bump his speed quite a bit, be more thematic, but let's just talk about a few of those things. So his basic, I wouldn't change too much, but I would let him copy and clear 2 positive effects on a punch, and assist, by the way. So it's something. It's a lot better. I mean, if you look at Taskmaster, he pulls 3 with every basic he does. So why not just give this guy the known thief of the MCU, right? Just steal a little bit more. Then it wouldn't feel so bad having to use this sometimes. Sometimes you use it strategically. It's like, I really got to pull that defense down on this character I need to nuke. So yeah, I wouldn't change the damage, because he's not there for damage anyway, and he's never going to do good damage. But yeah, I would just pull 1 additional effect, copy and clear 1 additional effect. His special, I wouldn't touch it. That's fine. 2-turn ability block is really good, actually. But sometimes he doesn't make it that far. But anyway, that's not anything we're going to cover today. So I would leave his special alone. For Stomp, here's a big change I want to make. And I want to give a shout out to someone I saw on Reddit. This is kind of where I got the idea about this change. I wanted to tinker with this one before, and his name is Coolest Ball, and if I remember, I'll link it below where the thread that was in. But his idea was, instead of applying slow to everybody, apply disrupt to everybody. Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It keeps things like the theme of Ant-Man going, at least in the movies, is the Uber thief and the guy who gets into the Iron Man suit and disrupts things and all that. Just let him apply disrupt to everybody. I think it's a great idea, much better than slow. Pull the slow off of there, add disrupt to everybody. That's probably the most powerful negative stat effect you can put on stuff, and it would make this a much less brain dead move. When you're facing the AI and when they typically do things, when to launch this for maximum effect, or you got a bunch of taunters on their side. Well, you can kind of shut that down, and that is disrupting the team. I think it's a great idea, and I'm actually going to take it a step further, because I want to make this the ultimate disruptive move, right? Which would fit with Ant-Man, at least in the MCU Ant-Man anyway. I would also apply stun to the primary target. I mean, think about it. Ant-Man gets enormous during this animation. I love Ant-Man's animations, by the way. It's enormous. He turns into basically Giant Man, comes down and he smacks somebody with his big old fist, right? You think that's going to stun somebody. So I would say stun primary target, apply disruptive to all, and leave the damage the same as it is. Pull the slow off of it and call it a day. I think that's a great idea from Coolest Ball, and it would help him so much. Be so much more useful. First passive, I wouldn't change too much, but I would make it to where he assisted Wasp 100% of the time when she did her basic. So every time that Wasp did her basic, he would actually assist, which in case he's pulling at least, one buff off of the opponent. So I would like to actually have it coded where he would attack first. So he could possibly clear whatever it is, like a defense up or whatever on the character first before Wasp goes in, because she needs all the help she can get to do any kind of damage. So I wouldn't make a whole lot of changes to his passive, even though it's not good, even as is. All this text and it's still not good. But that's what I would do with Ant-Man. So that's the first changes I want to talk about. Let's go over to Wasp. Oh boy, what a disappointing character. She's supposed to be a blaster. Her damage is pitiful. She's tech. And, well, it doesn't really mean much. Basically, she is the worst character on her team. If it wasn't for her special, she would easily be the worst character in her team, but you need damage on that team, and she just is not doing it. But anyway, let's talk about some changes I would make with her. Just like Ant-Man, her stats are way too low. Double, triple them, whatever. At least double, triple her health so she can survive a little bit of ways, or actually give her the innate dodge that the AI has, but we know how that works. So let's talk about her basic. The only change I make to her basic really is, and this would tie in with Ant-Man, is it would do an additional 140% damage to disrupted targets. So heck, if he's out there, throwing disrupted around on his ult for whatever reason, or he saved it till later, she could just add a little damage with that. It's not a big deal because this is a basic. She's not going to be using it all that often because she doesn't live past majorly 2 turns of her ult and passive, or her special and ult, but that's what it is. So yeah, I would make that little change there. And maybe 100% chain, it is nice, but I guess you could up the damage on the chain target, but let's face it, her damage is nothing to worry about anyway. So yeah, that's about the only change there. I would leave her special alone once again. Being able to apply a stun on command is great, and I would make this unavoidable, if nothing else. It's her best move. It shouldn't be able to be dodged or whatever. Just let it hit. 100% chance of stun. Undodgeable, unblockable. That would be nice. And finally, the other big change I want to make with this character is to basically there's one more big change after this. It would be to take that slow that's applied from Ant-Man and put it on this attack. So maybe she's dazing them a little bit or whatever, and it slows everyone down for a turn or two. You can give it even 2 turns to slow to help make up for the lack of speed that Pimtech actually has. That would be a great way to help do that. You could even further go, which they won't do, but like if the character or the enemy has that this hits has speed up on them, this would do extra damage, or just flip the speed up into the speed down. But basically, to make it a guaranteed speed down for the entire team, all the enemies that this hit. So just moving that from Ant-Man to her, but I like the idea of disrupted better on Ant-Man than I do on Wasp. So plus she used to have basically Wasp's sting, and it's kind of like it is for her special, but in the comic books, she would use her wrist blasters to stun targets a lot. So maybe you can say, hey, she's hitting everyone with her wrist thing, so if it's not stunning them, at least slow them. So I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but that's what I would change there. And finally, the biggest change would be to her passive. She used to be a charge mechanic character, and that her old special, her stun, used to be like basically tied to it. It would always stun if she had her charge, right? Well, it's not really the case anymore. It just stuns, automatically, as long as it's not dodged or whatever or blocked. But I would like to bring her charge mechanic back in a way like Electro's. When she stacks up to 5, this is just a passive now. She just automatically stuns a random enemy. That's it. It's no extra attack or anything. She just stuns. Maybe go up and just, does her little blaster thing where I guess you could put some damage on it, but make it small. But just give it a free stun. I think that fits very well with the whole idea of Antman and Wasp working together to disrupt the team. And the fact that it's random means you couldn't like abuse it too badly usually, but I think that would be really cool. And you still have to keep her alive until she got those charges up. I don't know if you have to build another charge mechanic into the other Pimtech. That's probably ways they're not gonna do all that work on Pimtech, honestly. But if she can survive, or even like three stacks of the charges, then maybe she could, you know, fire that off. Because she's actually, that makes more sense because she didn't have a really way of getting charges from her team that well. But so maybe do that. But anyway, I'd like to see her throw out a random stun or stun on a random enemy, and I think it would just help this team immensely. You know, control the team. You know, this team is more set up now like just a straight damage dealing team. And they don't do it well enough to be straight damage dealing. I mean, Yellow Jacket does some decent damage, but Ghost isn't doing damage. She is disrupting people by semi-stealing their stuff and turning back their turn bar. And of course, her ult is big, but that doesn't go off very often. So you're looking at the other characters to do the damage, and it's just not there. So I would definitely shift them away from being a much more causing chaos and havoc team than I would as a straight brute force kind of cut them and bleed kind of team, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's my ideas for fixing these two characters. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How would you fix Antman and Wasp? You know, like I said before earlier at the beginning of this video, you're not going to see meta play. Even if they made these changes tomorrow, it wouldn't really change too much about what these people are, but they may be more useful in things like well, of course, in the Greek raids where you got to use them, whatever. But I mean, and even in war, you can get a little more use out of them and make it so they can work in raids. Man, that'd be nice. Don't just limit them to Dark Dimension. I don't know what they were thinking with that. These guys are never going to take over the raid team niche. But I mean, if you have these guys built up a little bit and want to use them in like lower raids or something, why not? Just make some changes to them. Let's let them be usable. And but anyway, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed. And until next time. This is Genome, just really wanting to disrupt the other team.